What a way to wake up. I can't even talk about
Wait a
that,
minute.
man.
You mean in your house?
Yeah.
I thought you meant like you opened the front door and boom, there's a
No,
scorpion.
I was
big
coming into
giant
my
one.
office and
Really?
it's like the only the third. I don't even want to talk about this. I'm all freaked out, man.
What happens? Surely you've looked it up. What truly happens if you get stung by a scorpion? All right, so I just gave that to Grok.
Yeah.
In Phoenix, Arizona, getting stung by a scorpion is fairly common due to the desert environment. Thousands of stings happen each year, and you have poison control centers handling many. And the vast majority of dangerous stings come from the Arizona bark scorpion.
Yeah, those are poisonous, and I don't know if I've ever seen one of those before, so I just don't want to see one of those.
Wow, yeah, totally get it.
Don't let them sting you.
So this is the Arizona bark scorpion. It's kind of like almost translucent, you know? I don't know if that's the best word because I picture them.
They almost all look the same. I mean, that looks like the one I killed. You can't, like,
this
morning.
morning?
Is that a bark scorpion? I don't know. You're just like that.
Like, look at that with it, like it's poised to sting.
Yeah.
That's
what it did when I sprayed it.
Oh,
so I spray them
creepy.
with Raid. I don't think it kills them. Like hardly anything kills them. I guess it was about a year ago. I was riding my motorcycle. Did I show you the pictures of this?
Oh, yes, you did. If you got it handy,
right?
put it up.
It was like
it flew underneath your helmet.
I don't have it handy. Yeah,
but
it turned me
was
into
terrifying.
the Elephant Man for about a week.
And you didn't go to the hospital.
No, I did not. I did not go to the hospital.
Like that amazes me because
Really?
you look scary, man. Like if you looked at your own face and saw that, how did you not panic?
Well, I was panicked, and I was like, "Oh my God, look at my face!" I tried to tell Anne Marie that I had a bee sting on my face, and she's like, "Where?" And it was right after it happened, and it was just a little mark on my face. And she goes, "That's a zit," and I go, "Well, that's the most painful zit I've ever had," because I really didn't know if what it was, and I went to bed, and the next morning when I woke up, it was like I was a different person.
Oh, the picture was so scary.
It's crazy, man, but that's part of the adventure.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, with that, let's get started. Hey, welcome to Over 50 Starting Over, everyone. This is place for inspiration, information, and awareness to champion your third act. I'm Barry Edwards.
And I'm Merle Garrison.
All right. So we always do this show almost always do this show in two segments. And first one being usually something that we find helpful in our daily lives, something that we're working on. The second segment is current events, and they usually intertwine, mix and mingle just as the conversation goes. So it's a lot of fun. And this morning, Merle, I'd like to talk about in this first segment is our inner voice. And
Can I before we get into
Mm-hmm.
that, I kind of have like a cool announcement here, and I want to share. The Red Tsunami just came out this week, and it's the #1 book in America now. It is in the categories on Amazon. It's national and international security, political psychology, and globalization. We're #1 in those categories. And here we go. So order your book today. We're pretty excited about this, Barry.
I'm very excited about that. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. Of course, I didn't write it. I'm just an advisor on the whole thing, but
it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal.
You play quite a role in that. We did want to mention in current events coming up. Well, obviously, there's Davos. Obviously, there's Greenland issues. I know that you want to talk a bit about Davos. I just have a couple of perspectives on that myself. And of course, as always, the big part of that is nobody's still addressing our cost of living crisis. So that's where I'm going with that. Did you have anything additional to?
I did want to bring up the whole thing that happened in Minneapolis over the weekend with the protest happening in church. I thought that was a pretty that's a pretty
substantial,
unprecedented event here in America. So we'll talk about that too.
Yeah, good. I'm glad that you have that down there. So talking about I want to talk about the negative inner thoughts. It's not like it's the first time we've talked about this. We have
No, that's
before,
right.
and
Yeah, it happens.
most of us go through periods of a funk, maybe a day, a week, maybe a couple hours. But I mean, I've dabbled in and out of depression throughout my adult life here and there, and as I've always said, for me, I don't recognize it as such until I'm coming out of it, and then I look back and go, damn, because it's a slow, insidious process
Mm,
going there. And
mm.
so dealing with the negative thoughts, it came about because I heard this, watched this YouTube clip based on Neville Goddard, and he's I have a definition here: early thinker who took personal responsibility seriously, especially responsibility for our inner narrative. He dedicated entire lectures to this, and he placed enormous emphasis on what he called inner conversations, inner thinking, and inner speech as it's as the primary creative force in shaping our realities. So this is also a precursor to what we know of as The Secret. And there was that period of time where everybody was being told that if you think the right thoughts, you're going to get rich. And that's all everybody concentrated on. It didn't happen. And so we had to reassess those things. All I know is taking the woo-woo out of it, I was struck as this video started taking off because it made me think about this from a different perspective. It
Yeah.
asked, like, who is this voice in your head? Like, if you really listen to the voice itself, whose voice is it? And where the hell are the thoughts coming from? And because if a lot of times there are thoughts that you don't like, why don't you have this ability to pick your thoughts? As I'm choosing what I'm saying right now to you, Merle,
Right.
but there's times that voice in my head, who the hell's playing it? Because
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
that's the one that piqued my interest. I never
Who is
thought of it.
that? Yeah, yeah, because I don't talk like that. Why is
Exactly.
this horrible voice in my head
Right,
that
right,
won't
right.
shut up?
Yeah,
You
I
know what I
know.
mean?
So I
Yeah.
have this written out so I wouldn't forget some things
Okay.
because
All
I
right.
have a habit of freelancing it. Because even as you said that, I wanted to say that, well, I have found, I am messing myself up already as it's blizzarding out there.
Oh, we should talk about that too. Crazy.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, we will. But so I found that this voice is an amalgamation of like your parents, the most obviously at the most formative times in your life, the most
Right.
biggest influences make up that voice. And of course, so for most of us, our parents are going to be in there, and one or the other is going to dominate that conversation that takes place in your head. The other is maybe teachers, a mentor, society factors. And
Hmm.
dude, when I heard society factors, that made me think, oh my God, because right now we are putting out the worst things for our children to hear about
Hmm.
gender dysphoria, about hating men, about hating white people. And we, of course, we don't say that. We actually package it in the guise of being anti-racist and anti-sexist, if you can believe that.
Isn't that something?
Isn't that something? So we
Hmm.
are just screwing up the younger generation with that, building that what's going to be their inner voice and create all this anxiety and shame. And this is something that I have dealt with my whole life. I continue to try to work on because it shapes who you become and what you do or don't do.
Boy, isn't that true?
Yeah. So let me just read this and you interject wherever you want.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
so this wasn't some guru thing. This was an uncomfortable, practical, and it was kind of obvious when I saw it. This is me as I was writing my notes down.
Oh, okay.
So I learned this voice is a compilation of everything I just said. I
Right.
learned that, at least in my case, a lot of these damning thoughts are actually safety mechanisms. They're warning me. This is like the hard part. I have these voices that say harsh things to me, but they're actually trying to keep me safe in their own weird way. They're warning me not to stick my neck out too much, not to try new things, not to strive for new accomplishments, like think imposter syndrome, that voice talking to you. So I don't get hurt. meaning it for
Yeah.
me, embarrassed and shamed and facing failure. So I also learned it's best to try to not silence them. I spent years trying to silence them. It's never worked, but instead just don't try to not apply value to their judgments, and instead look at it like a dark, cloudy day or part of a day. It won't last. The sun will come out again. So
Mm.
let it just be cloudy. You can't control that. Okay, so I got a couple exercises for you. Believe it or
All right.
not, I'm
Okay.
almost done. I
I
thought,
kind of like, no, I kind of like what you were saying about just a cloudy day. And it's a temporary thing because when you're in it, it feels like it's forever. Like
yeah, dude,
it's not gonna ever end. Yeah, yeah.
you're
It's sort of
telling me
like
this is
winter
who
in
I am? I'm
Cleveland.
pathetic and
Yeah, yeah. It's
yeah.
like wintertime in Cleveland. It's never gonna end, man.
Right,
But
right.
eventually it does. And then when it does end, it's
It's
absolutely
glorious.
spectacular. Right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, and that's a sort of a metaphor. Is God trying to show us something on that? I mean, seriously, like we come through the storm, and after the storm, everything smells good and the birds are chirping and everything. It's almost like this is a new day and I feel so much better. And actually, a lot of times I feel so much stronger because I went through whatever it was I went through.
That's really, really good stuff because it brings me back to what life always is it's a dichotomy. It's a push and pull
It
system.
is. Yes.
Everything's divided in two. There's no happiness without sadness. There's no good without
How would you
evil.
know
There,
happiness if you didn't have
exactly.
sadness, right? There would be
Exactly.
nothing to compare it to.
And that's what
I
you
got
just described. Yeah.
Gosh, it kind of reminds me of I wake up in the morning and I start to think about where I live and where I came from in Los Angeles, and I feel so I can't stop counting my blessings on
Oh,
that
I
whole
love it.
thing.
Now,
You know what I
see,
mean?
you were alluding to that a minute ago too about how once you get through it, you might even feel more grateful for what you
Oh my
have.
gosh, it makes it so that if I had just moved here and only experienced this and never experienced that, maybe it would be kind of humdrum,
You're
right?
right.
Like, oh
You're
man,
right.
whatever. Of course, the air smells great, right? Because we're outside. We'll go outside where I was, and it smells like urine.
You
I'm
know,
glad to get
without
away
the
from that.
experience of LA, you might be just solely focused on the scorpion at your door all the
Yeah,
time.
right. Exactly. Who cares about that scorpion, man? Sort of. One thing about those things is they're more scared of me than I am of them. So,
Oh,
that's
that's what my
that's
mother
another
used to
thing.
tell me about spiders. I had the biggest fear of spiders,
Yeah,
and
me too. I don't like spiders
spiders
either,
are
man.
creepy, man. On
They
your best
are.
day, they're creepy.
Yeah, yeah. They're way worse than scorpions, I think.
Yeah,
I do. I don't want to
fortunately,
know.
we don't really have anything poisonous in Ohio. So as an adult, you could just tell yourself that to get your crap back together. But
Yeah, true.
in Phoenix, you don't know what the hell might actually bite you that can really hurt you bad.
There's all kinds of things over here
Yeah,
that'll get you.
yeah, yeah.
Ants, even. It's like a tiny ant. Oh, there's an. Ah! Something bit me.
Well, what you were saying about what we were talking about the dichotomy of you can't, love versus hate and happiness versus sadness and all those dichotomies. I've done a lot. I've always trying to like, what's the purpose of life? What is there heaven? What's the afterlife like? All these big questions. And one of the most profound things I heard is this lady that had a near-death experience said that she had an opportunity to talk to God or Jesus or however you define it. And she asked that very question, what is our purpose? What's the purpose of life? This is the best answer I ever heard. It stuck
Huh,
with me.
let's hear
And
it.
what she got back in a rather telepathic, for lack of a better word, kind of a way, what she felt was that we are sent here to experience so that God can experience his own creation.
Huh.
And
That's
so
interesting.
we're like bits and pieces of God thrown here. That's why it's dichotomy. It's like it's not all whole. Like love and or life and death and love and hatred and happiness and sadness all exist in harmony in the one. or heaven, but here they're all separate so that they can be experienced. And you, as you said, you can't experience happiness without sadness, or love
Yeah.
without lack of love.
Right, right. I,
Oh,
I I have to just say
yeah,
that every really just about every poor experience I've had have has helped has strengthened me somehow and allowed me to appreciate all of the good things that happen
for
in
sure.
life, right? Like, I mean, seriously, I was just thinking about how I had three bicycles stolen out of my garage, and then I
That
wasn't able to have a
story's funny.
bicycle for like 5 years. And I
Oh,
love riding bicycles, right?
well, that's
I
most
couldn't
of your
afford
life
it.
when you're a little kid.
Well, no, it wasn't when I was a little kid. It was when I was an adult that it
Oh,
happened. I think it was when
oh,
I was living in Cleveland and my first
that's right.
marriage, and they got stolen out of my garage, and my kids were little. So it was like I couldn't afford to spend money, even though my homeowner's insurance covered it. I had to buy all three bikes first in order for it to cover 50% of it. And I didn't have the money for that.
Oh,
So I went
wow.
without. Now you should see my garage, Barry. I can't even fit one of my cars in there because I've got one, two, three, four bicycles and two motorcycles in there. So, I mean, when I'm on those bicycles or vehicles, I'm telling you, Barry, the thankfulness that I have
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't have had that before. But I'm
That's
just like, wow, this is the payback. You know what I mean? I'm just like in heaven practically while I'm
that.
writing these things.
Well, as we start to wind up the conversation on undesirable inner voice talking to us, the inner communication, I have two exercises to
Yeah,
do.
go
They're
ahead.
very short, and but first I wanted to ask you, getting right back to that. So I was laying this out as it could be crippling in life, listening to that voice. And I've gone through all the stages of trying to silence it to then trying to accept it. And now it's kind of like, hey, it just happens. It's just there. You wait it out. What you do is you not do not accept the judgments from it. It's very judgmental, and it's condemning. And you can go ahead and listen to it, but just know you're going to feel differently when you awaken from that. Maybe
I
that's a
got
good word for
I
it. Go
love
ahead.
that. And I got two comments here. One is just wrapping up what I said before. In that mode, focusing on thankfulness is a
For sure.
big deal
It's the
about
antidote.
getting out of that stormy day, right? Like you think about how even the situation that is giving you anxiety is going to cause you to be stronger and maybe thank God for the results that are going to happen. Try to focus on that. And then number two, and this is an old adage you and I talked about so many times, focus on somebody else, help
Oh,
somebody
that's a
else.
really
If you
good one.
help somebody else, here's the thing, everybody talks about multitasking, right? You're doing like 10 things at the same time. I found out I can only do one thing. I can really only think about one
All
thing
of
at a
us.
time.
Yeah.
And if I focus, I think everybody's like that, right? If I
Don't
focus on
admit it.
somebody else and helping somebody else, it's amazing how all those things go back into the background,
For sure. They have
and go
to.
back into their hole. And so, that's sometimes I forget that, Barry, but
Oh, yeah, we all do. We all need reminded of that. I'm glad you brought
right.
it up because I forgot to bring it up. But acts of selflessness are key to mental health. I think I wanted to ask you because this is really kind of key. It's kind of going back a little bit to the roots of this whole inner voice kind of thing. But so I've recognized how it makes me want to stay in a box. Like it doesn't want me to try new things or certain experiences or whatever. And it's supposedly to
Yeah.
keep me safe. Don't go out there and make an ass out of yourself or whatever.
Yes,
But I wanted
yes.
to ask you because you live a heightened reality compared to me. What I mean by that is in sales your whole life.
Yeah.
Things are hyper focused from that point of view.
Woo. Yeah.
What do you have got to have developed strategies over your life because, man, you got the biggest deal. And this may be asking you to go back 20 years ago. So roll with me. But you are facing the biggest deal and the biggest, most influential audience of your life, and maybe there's a player or two in that environment that you feel is not an ally whatsoever. So it tweaks at all of your insecurities. You got to give a presentation to them in the morning. What do you do with that? With the nagging voice that's saying you've never done something this big before, and it's really scary.
Yeah. This we all face situations like
Imposter
this, and it's
syndrome.
all relative, right? I mean, I'm used to doing this type of thing, but I would just say this that throwing yourself into the situation, no matter how you feel, is really the way to get over the anxiety. I have to say that was a good example that you're saying right here. I have something that's in my mind here. I remember I was having serious anxiety, and I was supposed to go to this business outing with Anne Marie, and I really felt like curling up in a ball in my bed and closing all the shades and just
Wow.
staying in there. Like I did
Yeah.
not want I was in that mode, right?
Yeah.
But 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 I was needed. I couldn't do that. And so I just sacked up and I got in the car. I didn't even feel like I could concentrate to drive. It was that bad.
Wow.
But I just forced myself to do it. And I remember about halfway there, things started to change, and I started to come out of that cloudy day.
Hmm.
And I remember by the time I got there, I just focused on the task that I had to do. And the more I focused on that, the
You're in the
more all
present.
those things went away. And
Yeah.
and literally, it was one of those days where it was an outdoor event and the clouds broke and the sun came out, and it was one of the best days ever.
Oh my
And
God. Good story.
I think that's the thing, you know, it's that these voices want to hold you back so you don't actually go out there and make an impact on the world. You know,
Yeah.
if you're back if what you feel like you succumb to, then you sidelined yourself. You and there's people out there that need you too. Oh, let me tell you this, that happened that day. This is so crazy. If I wasn't there that day,
Yeah.
tragedy would have happened. All right,
What?
so this guy was like was one of the big bosses there. He was a picnic, and all of a sudden he said, "I think some kind of bug flew into my ear. I got something in my ear," and I'm like, "Really?" Now I had just heard a Paul Harvey episode. Remember Paul
Oh yeah.
Harvey? Anyway, he
What
was
was the
telling
line
the
at the
rest of the
end? The
story,
rest of and
and
that
so
was the rest of the story, something like that.
rest of the story. Right. And
Yeah.
so he was telling a story about a little girl that got a spider in her ear. And
Gross.
the way, oh, I know we talked about spiders, right? This is
Uh,
terrible. And so what the mother did was she turned her daughter's head to the side, put water in her ear, and the spider doesn't want to drown, comes out of the ear.
that was
So I'm
brilliant.
like, okay, I just heard this on the radio yesterday. Tilt your head over. And we tilted his head. We put water in his ear. And lo and behold, this horrible bee came out of his ear
Oh
and
my
then
God.
struck off his wings and flew right at us. We were all like, ah! It scared the crap out of us. But imagine that thing could have stung him inside of his ear. What would have happened?
Oh wow.
And
Yeah, the
here, if I
swelling
hadn't,
alone. Who knows what would have happened?
what if he was allergic? Like that could have killed him.
Maybe not.
Here,
You don't even need to be allergic. You're talking about an inside.
inside your head,
God
right?
only knows what
Exactly.
could happen.
And here, I wanted to stay in bed. Now, when and now as a Christian, I have to say that in the Bible, it is mentioned of the devil that he has the ability to shoot thoughts into your head, and he can when he speaks in your head, he uses the first person. I feel like this. I feel like that. So in
Mm-hmm.
your head, it sounds like
That's
it's
you.
you.
I got to pause you for a minute because I got to tell you that is easy for me to wrap my head around because when you really examine these thoughts, the ones that are painful, that are just condemning and all that, pretty damn easy for me to believe that that's a demon that's influencing thinking.
And think about it. The name Satan is a Hebrew word, Satan. It means the accuser,
Hmm.
like a prosecuting attorney. That's the
Hmm.
same kind of word. So these thoughts are their judgment,
Yeah,
their
yeah.
accusations. It's like
Condemnation.
exactly. I remember being in a court of law, and there was some kind of thing I was in there for, and the prosecuting attorney was so mean and nasty to me. It said such horrible things. I was like, just like the devil over there. And so these kind of thoughts come into your head. And of course, I felt like, of course, that thing was trying to prevent me from being in the world doing good. So think about that.
That's an
Force
interesting
yourself to
take.
get out there. Otherwise, that guy, who knows what would have happened to that guy right there?
Well, I don't want that to just fly away. What you're saying is you don't even have to be like, oh, I'm going to do this in the name of God or whatever. You just have
Oh,
to be able to say, okay, look, I want to do good. I want to do well. I mean no harm. That's all I need to know going forward.
that's it. You just do that, and you'll be amazed at how many good things you can do. Now, here's another thought I just had. What if the powers that be, Satan or whatever, uh, had designs to kill that guy that day, and knew that I'm the good guy that could help and wants to keep me in bed, right? Who knows what's going on
Who
right here? But
knows?
that could be.
That could be.
And so put yourself out there, man. Keep moving forward, I think, is the big key for this whole thing. Keep moving forward. Don't give up. A lot of people have these kinds of problems at this time of the year in particular because
I've fought it forever. Charlie
oh,
helps me so much
it's
because he loves winter.
the lack of I love that. I see him
Oh,
looking
it
out the
mean
window
yes. He's
behind you too
watching
with
it
the
snow.
snow.
Yeah, he's like, oh my god, I want to go out and play
How
so bad.
excited he is too. I love that. That would be helpful. The days are shorter. I mean, gosh, it seems like the sun comes up and it goes down like 10 minutes later.
I know.
This is a dark time. And for a lot of people, like for instance, my job, now I have like an even bigger quota than I did the year
Of
before. I got to
course.
figure out how I'm going to do this. And it's just like lots of pressure on people. This is the time where, you got to figure out how to deal with this. And I deal with it too.
God, that was
It,
my
it,
point in asking you as
it's
a
move on.
salesperson.
Just keep moving
It's
on. Keep
magnified.
moving on. And when you have to talk to yourself and tell
Yeah,
yourself that all you can do is the very best that you
there's
can.
the
And it
struggle.
now I watched this movie recently called Facing the Giants, and the whole concept was that if you win, it's a Christian movie. It was a football movie too, and it's like, is this all about playing football, or is there a bigger purpose here that God has for us? Uh, and so they decided that really, I want to play football to glorify God, do the best that I can. If that means winning, we're going to praise him when we win. If we lose, we're going to praise him that way too. I remember we had a conversation before about how all the football players are praying, and what about the
Now
team that
God has to
loses?
choose.
Yeah, and I was like, and you asked me, what about the team that loses? And I said, well, clearly they're all going to hell.
Stakes are high. Stakes are rather high on that
So I
game.
mean, but life is bigger than the football game, right? And so even when you lose, sometimes you learn so much more when you lose
You got to
than
lose
when you win.
sometimes so that you can learn. Oh,
Right,
yeah.
right.
You're not going to learn otherwise.
And also when you lose, the next time you win, it's so much more
You really earned
delightful.
it.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I played on a football team when I was in eighth grade. Um, that was the first. I was a professional football player back then. We were so bad that they paid us if we made a good play. So that's why I say I was a professional football player. We had 10 games. We lost the first nine, and we won the 10th game.
Oh my God.
Thought we won the Super Bowl. It was the greatest day ever.
Oh,
Oh
that's
man!
so funny.
So I'm just telling you, these dark things can make the light thing so much better. And if you think about that during that, this is helping me to talk about this right now.
Oh, yeah.
You think
That's
about
why we're
that.
talking about it for both
Yeah,
our
yeah.
sakes.
I'm getting myself happy right now. Jeez.
Well, okay, then let's finish up with these two
All
exercises.
right.
I think you're going
This
to
is
like
fun.
them, and you
I like
chime in
this.
where you like.
All right.
Exercise one is name the voice. So here's one thing that helped me. When that voice shows up, I stop asking what it's saying, and I ask, who does it sound like? So some examples. Is it a parent, a mentor, a coach, a teacher, or a younger version of myself? Maybe felt chastised.
Those are good.
So, because once I named it, it stopped sounding like truth and started sounding like condition, like a bad habit, a bad train of thought. And then you
Yeah, I
can,
like that.
yeah, if you recognize it as that and stop seeing it as truth, it changes everything. So that's your first exercise is name the voice when you're hearing these thoughts
I
you
like
don't
it.
like, say, who's really saying that? Where did this originate from? Exercise two, truth test. When a thought hits me like, you're not good enough, or don't try this, you'll look stupid, I ask one question. This is very important. Is this objectively true? Okay, now, not does it feel true, because it does feel true. It feels
That's a
horrible.
good delineation right there.
Is it possible? Is it just possible that it's not true? That's a delineation. Because if it's
Yes.
not provably true, then just don't argue with it. Just don't obey it. Don't argue with it. Just don't obey it. Okay, you don't accept it as truth. Okay, so wait for clearer weather in a sense. Okay, so I stopped treating my thoughts like commands and started treating them like the weather. And some days are cloudy, and those clouds do clear up eventually. So you don't have to
I'm
fix
taking
the
notes over
sky.
here. This is good stuff, Barry.
Oh, it is. I did a lot of work on that. I've been working on this my whole life. And then I just felt like when I saw this video and then I went and I started exploring these thoughts more with chat, it was like, well, hell, man, here's some clarification on things. And I'll just say again for about the third time, one of the biggest things for me is I spent a lot of my life trying to stop these thoughts. You can't stop them. Just know they're there and just don't take them as truth.
I feel like what you're saying is instead of trying to put your head in the sand on these things, harness them. And when I say harness them, you can now guide them where you need them to go so that you get something good out of it, right? It's almost like you put a collar on a dog and instead you're making him go at a certain place that's good, even though he's being a bad dog, right?
That's okay. I would also say
Maybe
that
not the best analogy, but yeah, go ahead.
a way of dealing with it as we are now officially adults for some time now, but a real adult way to deal with it is to say, thank you, I hear you, but I'll go forward with
Thankfulness.
this. Yeah,
Like it.
yeah. So don't slam the door in the face of this. It'll knock harder, but don't take it as gospel.
I got another one here that just occurred to me, Barry. Something my brother Scott helped me with, and he's in sales too, and all his life.
Intense, yeah,
And
intense
I was
sales.
talking to him one day about some kind of thing I was feeling anxious about, and he goes, a lot of people get anxiety mixed up with excitement. Like maybe you're just excited about it, and there's sort of that nervous energy because you're just excited. And so reframing it as rather anxiety, but excitement
That's interesting.
helps you to, oh yeah, I guess I actually am excited, right? Like
Yeah,
there's kind of a fine line, the,
there is a
you
fine
know,
line. It's like,
and
dude,
you can
it's
channel your thoughts that way. Go
a
ahead.
good example for that would be like if you had to give a presentation before a larger crowd than you've ever done before, because public speaking, of course, is terrifying for most people. And it's an irrational fear. So you got all these horrible thoughts leading up to it that are crippling you. And with what you're saying is, but realize you're 1 inch away from tackling like an easy problem and turning it into one of the best experiences of your life.
Yeah, man. I was thinking about like these speeches you're talking about, getting up in front of a whole bunch of people and talking. And I was thinking about Davos this past week,
Good, because
and
we have to move on.
President Trump talking at Davos, and I thought, what if that were me? And I had to fly all the way to
I thought about
Switzerland
that too.
and
It'd be
then give this
terrifying.
speech that isn't going to be like, you know,
They're going to
so
hate
feel
you.
good. Yeah, they might even want to kill me. You know what I mean?
Right,
It's not like they haven't tried.
right,
So
right.
it's like having how do you get like I when I started thinking about it, I almost started to feel anxiety just thinking about it, right?
I
Like how
understand. I
how does
thought
he
that too.
do that? And how does he stay so mean, he was very composed. He didn't yell. He had no sleep, by the way. I heard that it was like a thing where he was up for 2 days and then had to give this
He came
hour and a
across
half
as pretty
speech.
damn tired. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I've never heard him sound like that before, but he worked through it. And I gotta say, I listened to the whole speech. He said the things to them that I've always wanted to say to them. I thought it was truth to power, and I felt pretty good about it, to be honest with you. Did you have a chance to see that?
I didn't see it. I just read about it. And as always, I try not to get stuck in the weeds and try to see the forest through the trees. Anyway, I actually would rather start with, and I didn't plan on saying this, but talking about Mark Carney, the prime minister or
Prime
prime
Minister of Canada.
Canada.
Yeah.
He gave a speech, and I know this only because this morning Glenn Greenwald was talking about it on his latest podcast. And he opened up with talking a whole lot about how he's not impressed, never been impressed with Mark Carney on any level, that he's just a conformist. But he's a very educated conformist. But he was very impressed with his addressing of Davos because he just like pulled the curtain back and basically said, hey, look, all these years we come here and we just play along with the charade, as in Canada, the middle players, most of Europe and Germany, things like that. Uh, and we all play along because we get something out of it. It benefits us too. But it's all pretty much a game, propaganda, light propaganda, and we all just clap. And he goes, but now, with the Greenland thing and their feelings on it, that he's just saying that, hey, we're not going along with this stuff. And Davos is, it's never what it appears on the surface. It's power plays. So with that, I want to throw it back to you. You're excited about what Trump said and you're excited about Greenland. You're setting that up last week. And I'm going to just say that after you give us your part, I'm just going to talk about how this doesn't benefit me at all. But go ahead.
Hmm. That's interesting. Now I almost don't know where to start. But I
Yeah.
will say this, that Trump, the way that he started the speech was really exemplary of when America does well, Europe does well. Uh, America has been in a position to protect Europe, to finance Europe for nearly 100 years now, and saving Europe's bacon. Really, to be honest with you, take a look at World War One over 100 years ago. Europe would not be what it is had the Kaiser won, and of course you go into World War II. If the United States had not been involved, there would have been a completely different outcome here. One of the let's just talk about Greenland here, because I thought that was really the best part of the speech, because he finally opened up about exactly why this was important, and it has everything to do with world security. the shipping lanes have been opened up in the North Seas, and that gives access of Russia and China directly into the Americas, and that Greenland is in the way of that. And it's been a strategic location for a long time. If you take a look at World War II, we ended up putting bases there to protect the shipping lanes between us and Europe, and we were able to get supplies over to the European allies because we had that position. It was something that was controlled by Denmark, but what had happened is that when the Nazis faced Denmark, they fell within 6 hours. So the point was, if this is and this is a strategic location for all of the Americas, and really, if the Americas are threatened, then all of Europe is threatened. And so, if you put a force in there that can't stand up to this pressure, can't afford the pressure, then the whole world is in trouble. And so I thought he made some really good points on that front. The history of it was huge. Also, the financial piece of it and how we're financing NATO, and we have been for quite some time now. Without any of that, all of Europe is in big trouble. And so that was the point that he was making. I thought it was a good point. Then, secondly, he brought up Mark Carney, and we just saw Carney in China 2 weeks ago with Xi Jinping talking about the New World Order and how he is going to be funneling this commerce dollars that have been going to the United States over to China. And so China is the new partner for Canada. Now, I think that's unfortunate for Canada because you see exactly what China's design is to own everything and to oppress the people. And so Canada is a free state or a free nation right now, but that type of mentality actually threatens the United States as well. So I see this dichotomy playing out. I think that's what I was trying to bring up last week as well, is that you see what's happening right now. There are forces that are trying to decouple the United States from its allies. And of course, as I take a look at China and what their aim and ambition is, they're all over it. They're sending drugs up through Mexico, through the Mexican cartels. They're making alliances with Canada. Venezuela, that's all about China as well. And this is our, as Trump said in his speech, this is our territory. That's been a precedent since the Monroe Doctrine, actually President Monroe from the 1800s. And so this has been what we've been looking at this whole time. I think that the point that was made here is from a protection point of view, from a financial point of view, this helps actually the whole world stay in peace. And so that's what I got out of it. What do you say?
Well, it's going to be a little heavy, and I'll try to keep it simple though. But this could take me back all the way back to our conversation about the show Fallout a couple of weeks ago, and I don't think I made the point great that the show, especially season one, was really showing you the system's failure. That's kind of what the point was really arriving at to me as we're winding up season one and going into season two, is everyone is having the realization that the system was the one that really failed here. And what I have seen going on in the U.S., starting mostly to me in my simple mind, with the banking housing crisis of 2008, and after these bankers fleeced us for all these billions of dollars, we then bailed them out additionally with our taxpayer money. And so that just was the beginning of the end right there in creating a monster that would quickly become out of control. That's an oligarchy. And so, but the big freaking capper was COVID. Never let a good crisis go to waste. So we locked down the entire country, just squishing small businesses all across the nation so that Amazon and Walmarts and all the big players that are all owned by the BlackRocks and all these companies take $5 trillion from us and grow exponentially into a monster that just cannot stop. I mean, it's hungrier than ever, bigger than ever, hungry with a bigger appetite than ever. And that it goes for the military industrial complex as well, going right along with it at the same time. And so here we are today in a place where the only entities that now benefit that must be fed are these giant monsters called the military industrial complex and these giant tech companies and healthcare. And these people, I benefit not at all. You could dress it up as national security. I looked up the facts on that and they are true, like the things that you talk about with shipping lanes and there are a number of other things. All those things do exist, but Trump is very enticed by flattery. And the military industrial complex is going to use all of those facts and put that in with a whole bunch of flattery. And all through all of this, we're spending tons more money, giving it to the military industrial complex, taking it from the taxpayer, $700 million, so three quarters of another trillion. I think I said million a minute ago, I meant billion. So three quarters of another trillion now going out to Greenland, who is going to need continuously fed and maintained from there. And all of that raises inflation, does not decrease it. So we get screwed more. We're continuing to get screwed more. The American dream is dead, and there's no plan. There's no plan for saving it or bringing it back. There's just all of this continuous feeding of these giant companies. You could talk about Venezuela and the oil and blah, blah, blah. We'll be lucky if we benefit with 20 cents on a gallon as a result.
I don't even see that as the big point of Venezuela, but it's a side, it's a side benefit. Venezuela is part of the Belt and Road Initiative, and that means that China is building military seaports there in Venezuela. That's what they do with every Belt and Road Initiative country that they're looking at. Plus, what they do is they completely oppress the people. People are eating out of trash cans over there. It's like locusts come over there, but it was a threat to the United States militarily by having look. China has declared us their enemy. We haven't declared them our enemy, but they've declared us their enemy. So when somebody declares that you're their enemy, you got to take them seriously on this. And if they're building military seaports right in your backyard, that's a big deal. That's what Greenland is about as well, is that we can't afford to have our enemy right next door. As Trump pointed out, we have this big, beautiful ocean that has protected us from the wiles of Europe. Europe is constantly in some kind of war throughout the last 2,000 years. The ocean has protected us. And that's what the Monroe Doctrine is all about, is that we came to this country, and really what was the impetus? It was religious freedom here, because the church and state had merged together, and anybody that was that raised any kind of Cain on this got burnt at the stake. That's what was happening. We didn't want European countries at the time to get a foothold over on our territory that would enable them to launch attacks and do the same thing they did in Europe. Now the world is a lot bigger, our enemies are different, but it's the same concept, is that this is our territory. It's like a God-given area of protection. That's what the new world is about. And Greenland and Venezuela and Cuba all play a part of that. For our protection. That's why we acquired Hawaii. That's why we acquired Alaska as well. Those were purchased by the United States that presidents actually had put out there. They've been trying to buy Greenland for over 100 years now. It just hasn't happened. And it seems strategic right now to me, given the world situation.
Okay, so there's your further pitch for the military-industrial complex fleecing us.
That's an interesting way of putting it, Barry, but I'm not going to let you do that, because The United States government has an obligation to protect its borders. That's in the
Mhm.
Constitution. Now, the military industrial complex, I'm not about the military industrial complex, but I am about Americans having protection from being overrun by enemies that want to kill us. And that's exactly what China wants to do.
In that regard, the only thing that I'd be hands down for, very pro on, would be what's the word? Star Wars space expansion. Highest ground wins. That's the future for true defense, but it's also the future for true expansion. Like the problem, this kind of what I was trying to get at once again about when I was trying to explain what I got out of Fallout, is that the American dream and of expansion, that we conquered the entire North American continent. We've now reconquered it, meaning we've bought up old businesses, made them better, bought up old housing, made them better. Bigger families now had to buy the more expensive housing and more expensive companies and make them better. And now we've been really kind of, as I said before, we created this oligarchy that now needs to be fed. If it's truly about defense and we need expansion, I'm only for space expansion. Back to what I was saying about me, because I'm mostly concerned about me. Our American dream was based
All of
on
us.
small
Right.
business workers, savers, and families, and none of them are being discussed whatsoever now, which is why I keep coming back to it. Today, 70% of Americans now live paycheck to paycheck. We're used to hearing 60% for the last couple of years. Now 70%. 80% of young people think they'll never afford a home. They probably won't. 50% of adults have less than $500 in savings. 50% of adults. Small business formation has collapsed, as I said about COVID. It was just an excellent way to declare war on small businesses. And neither party, Republican or Democrat, when we love to choose our sides and fight there, neither is offering a zoning reform, banking reform, healthcare reform, or educational reform. Nobody's talking about how I'm going to get out of this dire circumstance. That's all I ultimately care about. I'm America first. This all sucks
I
to me.
totally hear what you're saying on that. It's hard to disagree with anything that you're saying there. However, what I will say is this is that unfortunately, we have corruption in every aspect of our lives right now. And unfortunately, the military has become a part of that because of the businesses around it that support it. But I will say, if I take a look at some of the activities from the Trump administration, like targeting the military industrial complex, looking at the bonus plans for the CEOs and also the leaders of these companies and capping those things because they're making a huge profit off of things. But yet, when we need military equipment, it takes an exorbitant amount of time. They're actually looking at this. They're corralling that type of thing. They're looking at the hedge funds as well that have been destroying our real estate market by buying up all of these properties. Trump actually addressed this in the Davos speech and saying I don't know if you knew this or not, Barry, but he actually put a moratorium on these hedge funds buying private property. He made an announcement or an analogy, not an analogy. He actually talked about how these businesses have this tremendous advantage over private ownership of these houses because they have the capability of taking deductions on depreciation and individuals don't. It's not fair. The housing market was never built for these types of multi-trillion businesses to own and get a consistent revenue stream of renters. And remember, you'll own nothing and love it by 2030. That's what this is. So
Oh yeah.
you've also got the Trump administration going after the Federal Reserve Bank. What I'm seeing here is, and also looking at the speech that I heard in Davos, is the unraveling of the system that you're talking about right now. And that actually gives me hope. That's what I'm seeing on all fronts. That's why people are angry about it in Europe, because Europe, from the time we left Europe in the 1600s and before has always wanted to had in their DNA absolute control of the citizens to the point where they're chattel. And if anyone gets out of line, they're eliminated immediately. And by that, I mean death. And so this is what we're trying to protect against. That's why I said Trump went to Davos and it was truth to power. This has been power that's been in place for almost 2,000 years. And that apparatus I see is in trouble. And that's what I'm excited about.
Cool. I wanted to mention that, Lisa and I had this discussion and she got very impassioned during it. She's like, you're always talking about this oligarchy and these big businesses, big tech, big healthcare and all that. She goes, the revival, and because this was also a part that came up in my research. I was like, damn, Lisa just said this. She said the only meaningful revival of the American dream is from the bottom up. So I'm always talking about the monopolies that have formed. And I
Right.
would freaking consider the US government part of a monopoly for sure.
Me too.
The very pinnacle of it. But to talk about the forgotten families and small businesses and communities starting from the bottom up, that warms my heart a little bit. So it says
That's okay.
no establishment institution is pushing for localism, community wealth, small scale entrepreneurship, which they used to 30 years ago. It's all they were talking about. The pride of America's backbone. Lowering barriers to ownership, rebuilding
Yes.
trust and autonomy.
Yes.
And making families economically viable again.
Oh my gosh, Barry. I brought this up a few weeks ago is that this is how we get ourselves out of this situation. My understanding in my evolution and learning about the Federal Reserve Bank and this, 40 trillion in debt or whatever it is now. How do we get out of it? Do we pay off all our debt? I found out it's not possible. If we try to pay off our debt, we'll be ruined. We'll go into a Great Depression. It's by design. How that Federal Reserve System is built is not right.
Right.
So how do you get out of it? And what I was saying was, instead of these banking loans all going to capital projects like you're investing in even homes, have them focus on local businesses. That's where the loans need to go to now. The bulk of the loans need to go to that type of thing. If we were to do this, it would actually provide huge profits and security to local communities. And this would change the trajectory that we're on right now big time, because it would put the power back into the people's hands instead of the Walmarts of the world that have ruined private business across the spectrum. And people can then take ownership of their own lives. And if that were to happen, it would change the trajectory on inflation, because there wouldn't be this need to print all of this money. That's what's causing inflation, is the printing of money. And we've gone through that whole thing again, all again. We got to look at these hedge funds and bust them up, man. They're huge monopolies. These are some of the things that we can do that are gonna affect me and you. And last thing I'll say, back to national security and our military, I would say that affects all of us, because if we were to look at some of these things that are happening around the world, it is our military that is protecting us from having to deal with like a Ukraine situation where, and Trump brought this up too in Davos, is that's a drone war. And if you've seen any of these videos of a drone chasing after a soldier, they don't have a chance. They don't have a chance. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Imagine something like that being unleashed on the United States. It's our military industrial. It is the industrial complex that we're buying this stuff from, and we got to look in there and we got to audit that stuff, because they're taking advantage of us. I know
We've
they
been
are.
trying to audit them for years.
Yeah, that has to happen.
Yeah.
But we have to have national security, and that affects me and you and your family and my family and all of our friends and neighbors. So
Would you rather
and it is
starve to
the
death
biggest,
or get
well,
hit
look,
by a missile? I'd rather take the missile.
No, I would rather look, the plan I just said causes us to be able to eat and not get hit by a missile. I don't like either one of those options, and I don't think we have to choose.
Okay. We are running out of time unfortunately. I wanted to, I thought this next thing would set itself up better because everything seems to interrelate so much. But I have a clip, a YouTube clip from Dave Smith's last podcast where he shows some, it's unbelievable to me. I had to come back from my workout, remember to find this, to share it. I just wish I had it in better context. It's Miriam Adelson and one of her colleagues and a presenter on stage at the Israel American Council, Israeli American Council, IAC. And they virtually say the thing out loud that's never supposed to be said. And this guy, when he divulges the big secret, he's very, very hesitant. This will take a couple of minutes to unfold. He doesn't want to say what's, and Miriam Adelson will not join in divulging how our political influence is for sale, like sticking dollar bills in a vending machine.
Yeah, here, let's play the clip.
Talk about something just not to put on tape.
We have many sessions here about how important it is to get involved, to build a relationship with politicians, and to have access. And access and relationship can buy you influence, doesn't mean it's going to buy you. So you both master that. So can you share with us, I want everyone to learn today, how do you build a relationship with the politician? I know there is always money involved because that's part of the system, but the relationship is not always just about.
Oh, I thought that was you. Ha! That was on the video.
That's hilarious. I thought that was you.
So anyways, this is Dave Smith and his co-host, Rob Bernstein. And Rob Bernstein just asked to pause. He's going to say something.
But money, because
it's unbelievable how disgusting that is and how it's just played off like, hey, listen, I know that we live in the grossest world ever where if you have enough money, you can purchase influence. And both of you guys are doing a great job of partaking in this corruption of purchasing influence. But for all the people out here that don't have as much money, what else can they do to get influence above just voting and everything else that other Americans, but just the way he plays off something that's actually so evil about our reality is perfectly socially acceptable and normal.
Right.
And particularly, dude, Rob, I mean, just the optics of it. I mean, you're sitting here in a thick Israeli accent talking at the Israeli America Alliance, whatever this thing is called, talking about how to buy off our government. Like, it's just like, if you were doing this, which obviously they are, you would just think you would at least have the decency to not talk about it out loud. You know, like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You're supposed to read about this in a conspiracy book that behind some closed door rumors were stated that Israeli people were talking about how much money do they have to spend to court influence, not in front of television cameras in a room of people clapping.
Yeah, this is the thing that Nick Fuentes is supposed to say. And then other people go, that's a racist conspiracy theory.
That's
You're not supposed to hear
it
from their mouths at an event that they decided to televise or record or whatever. It's just, it's crazy. Here, let's keep playing.
That is crazy.
To have the access and to have the relationship to create an influence, you need not just the money. So we have 4,000 people here. I want them to hear from the best, you and Miri, about how do you do that?
Well, Miri and Sheldon Yizichro Baruch have been much more generous than me, so why don't you turn around and ask her that?
Ask her, but you both made a lot of connection and made a big influence.
What I gave is this. This is what they gave is this. But it's the same principle. I understand.
Oh my gosh!
Can you believe
that was
this?
a surprise?
I know. It's like, hey,
Well, I
don't
can't even believe
out
the guy
me.
asked the question to
I
begin. That's what he's
know.
thinking. Like, did you just ask me that?
Yeah,
How do I get
really.
influence in Washington? I mean, that's outrageous what they're talking
There's
about right
more.
there. But it's true. We know that's true. We
It's
know
more.
it's true.
It's
And
more.
it's disgusting. And we got to get this kind of corruption out of Washington.
Exactly.
It's
Boy,
This
he's
guy's
I want to be
freaking
Frankenstein and
cautious
out.
Dracula
how
in
I.
one person.
It's a system
That's a deer in the headlights
that we
moment if
did
I ever
not
saw one.
create. It's a system that's in place. It's a legal system, and we just play within the system, and that's it. I mean, it's just really quite simple.
That's sick.
If you support a politician, you, under normal circumstances, should have access to be able to share opinions and try to help them see your point of view. That's what access grants you. And the contribution and the financial support grants you the access. So, I mean, those that give more have more access, and
There you
those
go.
that give less have less access.
There you go. Okay, I'm going to stop
So
there.
that's the problem, right? I mean, we're seeing all this corruption happen, and then we're seeing all this money flowing out through corruption and fraud. And so that gives people the money. And then once they have the money, then they can have access, right? Like if you bilk Minnesota out of $9 billion, now you have $9 billion worth of access.
Yep.
That's what I'm hearing. So this is the problem. This is what we're seeing. This is why you have an army of insurgents that are paid that are destroying Minneapolis right now.
Yeah.
And this is why a judge is going to turn their back and why the governor and the mayor are saying that this is about freedom as their city burns. It's evil what's going on here.
It is
systemic.
It's the systems. It's the systems again. That's been my point through all of this. All these different things.
It's a good point you're making, and I can't deny the point is absolutely. But there are things that we can do about it, and the number one thing is we got to educate people about what's happening. I'm so glad you played that so people could see that.
I should mention, okay, just briefly, Miriam Adelson is Trump's number one biggest donor at $300 million. $300 million.
I like how he turned it back on her.
Yeah.
So, but the unfortunate thing about politics today is that it takes billions of dollars in order to be the president, and that's the disgusting part about it.
Yeah.
That you've got, and then once you get in,
got to get money out of Washington.
The money, they all want something. That's why they gave the money.
They're going to get it. Yeah. Otherwise, it breaks the system.
Yeah. And I started thinking about, like, what if I were the president and all these, and I had to use these different funds in order to get there. Now, once I'm president, I would love to just say, okay, now I'm president. I'm going to do my thing now.
Yeah, go screw off.
And they're like, yeah, but now we're going to kill you.
No, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of what's going on.
And dude, I 100% believe that Trump had no idea how deep he was getting when he made the deals with Israel. He's just watching Fox News all the time. He's like, of course, Israel's number one biggest ally. Yeah, give me all the money you want. Of course, we're going to do business together. We always have. And it's really only been in the last 2 years that people, because of the true free press, meaning the internet, people are starting to question, hey, wait a minute, why are we doing all these wars? Where is this influence actually coming from? So now hard questions have to be answered without, and not just 2-minute sound bites.
And I think that our problem is much deeper than just the president. I think it's really the way the system works, the lobbyists and all of that type of thing.
The
and
lobbyists, AIPAC. Yes.
How are they related to the BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard?
Money
and all
should
of those
not be
funds,
going through Washington.
and they're the ones that, and our government just, we just print money in cahoots with these businesses, and dare I say, fascism on that. The power isn't with the people. This is why we wrote the book. The Red Tsunami, because it's talking about this very type of thing, and how we actually get out of it is we have to pull together. Where there's more of us than there are of them. That's really it. And more of us is really what makes up America. And it's the American culture that we have to save, because it's the culture that has actually brought greatness. It is all about putting your heart and soul into helping others through compassionate capitalism, by fairness and justice. This is what we have to bring back, because what we've done is we've put it into unaccountable hands. I'm preaching to the choir. You understand what I'm saying?
Of course I understand. And once again, running over, got to wind up real quick. I wanted to see if there's another current event that you felt that you had to touch on.
I was going to touch on the church invasion. I just, we could save that again for the next time.
And weather, this weather front going through, you said that you wanted to mention.
Well, good luck to everybody out there over the weekend. This is what is it? The polar vortex. It's going to be affecting about 230 million people. Power outages.
That's 2/3 of the country.
Yeah, stock up. Make sure you call your family. Make sure they're okay, that they have heat and power. Just take care of each other. Love your neighbor, and everything's going to be okay. Hang in there.
Yeah, we've seen it before, but yeah, it's a doozy. It's a doozy coming. So go ahead if you have anything else. I have a lighter side video.
Let's move on to the lighter side
that you gave me.
I want to say this was a great conversation that I think we just had.
Agreed. It's just too short and incomplete.
Well, to be continued.
I know. We do have to pick up where we left off here. So this video, you sent it to me a few days ago. It was one of the funniest damn things I've seen.
You're going to show that?
Yes, I am. Oh, dude, it was so funny. Okay, so I'm going to set this up. This is like two ladies that just came back from happy hour in Florida, and the one lady locked her keys out of her home, and so she's having her friend help her break in through the window. And I say all of that, I gave it a little more backstory than anybody else did, because this really reminds me 100% of a friend of ours in Florida. They laughed. Remember, okay, just briefly, remember the video of 3 years ago probably, of the girl that gave her husband dissolvable swimming trunks, and he went in the ocean, and she's laughing so hard. She's laughing so hard that it made us laugh so hard. This is the same kind of a thing. You ready to roll?
Yep.
Let's do it. This is so funny. You have to go to YouTube for this.
See, how did they not know this was going to happen?
I feel like I got to zoom in or something.
Yeah, can you make it bigger?
Is that make it bigger?
Yeah. Okay. Look at her.
I got to start over on this one. It's real short. Trying to boost her through the window. Boost this lady in her dress through the window.
Look how she's got her leg on her shoulder like that. Genius.
Her boobs pop out of the dress. She's stuck. She's stuck upside down.
Look at her friend.
Her friend totally is our neighbor in Florida. She can't even breathe. She can't even breathe. She's laughing so hard.
I love that. She's not going to recover.
She's snorting.
Oh my God! I can't breathe. Where are you? Are you alright?
Finally checks him.
Oh my
She's
God!
okay.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
All right. Oh my God, that's so funny.
Great.
I watched that 100 times, man. That's so funny. All right, guys. Hey, with that, please go to over50startingover.com and sign up to our email list. Get this to your email box as it happens. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. It's at over50startingover. And Mark's AI tip, I saw just came in just now, so we have a new one for today. Very glad about that. Have a good weekend. Stay warm, everybody.
Well, hello there, Over 50 Starting Over friends and my AI After 50 podcast audience. Mark Tennant back with you with your AI tip of the week, taking pause. This week, it's episode number 49. We've come a long way. Next week is episode number 50, and we've got something planned for you. Next week at episode number 50, part one of a 3-part series. This is our AI reset. We're all going to just, not say start over, but just kind of step back, reflect, and start working and using these tools every day in your personal and your professional lives. Going to show you what has worked for friends, people I've helped, companies I've helped, businesses I've helped, and how it can work for you. So it's going to be a more practical side here on the AI Tip of the Week, and it starts next week at episode number 50. This week, setting the stage, context. It's going to be the best of an AI Tip of the Week. One I did a couple of months ago about context and setting the stage for the AI. And it's so important, and it will dovetail nicely into episode number 50 next week. Till then, we've got big things planned for you in 2026. We're so glad you're with us. Have a great week, and we'll see you then. Take care. Well, hello there, Over 50 Starting Over friends. Mark Tennant back with you with your AI Tip of the Week. This week, the power of context. How to get AI to think like you. Have you ever wondered why sometimes AI misses the mark? It's just not right. You know, sometimes it's not your question or your prompt. It's context. It's missing. Context tells the AI who it should be, who the audience is, and why it's doing what it's doing, why it's doing that task. Context allows the AI to move past generic responses by understanding the required persona, the target audience, and what the final objective is. So once you understand that, we want to refine. So you want to run that first prompt. We're going to call this iterative refinement. Just going to iterate, keep going through until we get that prompt right. The first answer, it is just a draft. That next statement or the statements that follow that should refine that context. So if the first answer is wrong, and it usually is, or it's missing something, tell it exactly what it's missing. Say, hey, you forgot this. Or if it just hallucinates and comes with something that's just totally not true, call it out. It will apologize to you after that. And you just want to keep iterating and talking through things till you finally get that response that you're looking for. Always build on that last answer. You could say, now make that paragraph slightly shorter and wittier. You want to inject some personality about yourself. You can tell the AI to adopt my voice, which is direct, slightly humorous, and highly practical, or whatever your personality might be. Then we come to those reasoning steps. This is where the AI starts thinking about what you want, and you can ask the model to list 3 ways you will approach this task before generating the final output. So you're talking to it. It's just reasoning through the task of what it's supposed to do. You can provide those constraints. In other words, tell it what to avoid. Don't use technical jargon or acronyms or anything like that you don't understand. And you can follow this roadmap to develop the prompt or develop your own roadmap. Just remember to add context to every single prompt. So we have an example prompt. I went through this exercise. I had a basic prompt, and then I finally came up with this, which is what I was satisfied with. Act as a seasoned AI marketer and prompt engineer who specializes in making technology accessible and practical for everyday use. Your audience is the audience of a highly rated podcast, an over 50 demographic. The tone should be encouraging, friendly, and practical, emphasizing achievable gains without hype. Your task is to generate content for a short white paper on the subject, being over 50 and becoming AI literate. We added some constraints. Create an executive summary of 1 or 2 paragraphs. Next, generate exactly 4 or 5 distinct paragraphs with a bolded headline for each paragraph. Don't use technical jargon like LLM or API. And the final takeaway must be focused on time saving through better initial input. Include a concise and to the point ending summary. So that's what I came up with. We have a role there. We have the context of who the audience is, what we're trying to do, what we want the final output to be. And this is what we got. We had a nice executive summary. And by the way, if you're just listening to this, you might want to dial up the video on YouTube and stop it at this point so you can take a look at the prompt, and then you can take a look here at the response. It gives some great paragraphs, why AI literacy matters over 50, and learning by doing. Small wins build that confidence. Another paragraph on the hidden skill of getting better at adding instructions, and finally, a summary for that prompt. Not bad. Adding that context really, really makes the difference. So to wrap up, remember to define that role. Remember to set guardrails, what you want it to do, what you don't want it to do. Build on that conversation, and you can save time with context. So it's your turn. I want you to define a persona, pick one daily task that you might do, and have AI assume that role as the expert. Request the format, ask the AI to create a simple list or a short paragraph, and you can refine those results. Don't settle for the first answer on every try. Never do that, and keep iterating, keep getting what you want until you get that final output that you're looking for. So, how do you think you'll do? Let me know when you try it out. Email me, mark@marktennant.net. I'd love to hear from you. Any questions as well, anytime. That is my personal email. I answer every single note. And we're on the socials. LinkedIn probably is the best place to find me, at Mark E. Tennant. We talked about advanced AI voice in the past. We're going to start talking to it and about it here in the coming episodes. And until then, have a great week.